Hello and welcome to Queen Mary Questions, the show that allows you, the students, to ask prominent figures in Queen Mary whatever you like. Hello, I'm Liam Pape, Editor-at-Large of The Print, and today I'm joined by Ahmed Mahbub, who is President of Queen Mary Students' Union.
Bold is gold.
So, in your manifesto, you said that you wanted to connect our satellite campuses, such as Malta, Nanchang and Beijing. Gozo has an elected rep on Student Council, but what has been done with regards to ensuring QM students in Nanchang and Beijing are involved in the Students' Union?
So we've done a lot of things. I think one of the most basic things we've done is actually give them their own mailing list. So basically, if you're a student in Beijing from Queen Mary, you'd get a mailing list saying, oh, come to Draper's at 3 p.m. for this, that and other. And they look and be like, am I going to spend a £500 trip to come over to QM to do this, that and other? So we've actually made mailing lists specialised to them, so they understand what's going on in their own campuses and have that kind of Queen Mary experience, because it's not fair to have all these things happening in London or nothing's really happening in like Beijing or Nanchang. We've also been hosting a lot of them, so Beijing actually came 2 weeks ago to Queen Mary, and we hosted them, we kind of did a quiz with them, and all the fun stuff. I don't really like quizzes, but they like quizzes, so it's alright. So we've hosted them quite a lot. We are in talks about how to expand our operation and go over there, and possibly make representative roles over there, whether it's having societies like Gozo, or actually having one rep that represents everyone without it being a society, much like we do here in Ireland, and on the whole of London. So we are looking to expand that, so I've been in talks with the Vice Principal of International about how to expand our operation, and I think it's a bit of us playing catch up, because obviously these campuses were made ages ago, and I think I'm the first executive officer to kind of bring it back into into the minds of our students.
In January, it was noted in the Executive Committee meeting minutes that you had been working with the University Vice President for International on a transnational education student experience. What on earth is that?
Something I hope can be in your buzzwords for the candidates for the hustings.
Transnational education student experience.
But essentially, it's transnational education is all the education we have outside of England.
Okay.
So that consists of Malta, all our campuses in China, and also Paris. So obviously, because we haven't been looking at them, and the SU hasn't really had a link between them, the transnational student experience is just, there isn't one basically, and it's not as good as the ones that Queen Mary students have in London. So that's the thing that I'm working on. So that means basic stuff like mental health services, general ways to feed back into your own academic experiences. So it's just basics, the things that we take for granted which students outside there don't get. So that's the things that I'm working on to just cement that, and that links to the first thing that we spoke about having representation over there.
So on accountability, does the Students' Union have any intention to change how the annual members meeting or student council works? So for the last 2 years at least, AMMs have needed to be cancelled because they haven't been quorate. Often council meetings have had to be cancelled for the same reasons, and at council meetings they're often tediously long when they do happen, and a lot of the time people don't even know what's going on.
No, I understand their frustrations, and to be fair, I agree with it. The SU is currently undergoing a democracy review, because I think accountability, for me personally, and I think for a lot of the sabbatical officers and the SU staff generally, accountability should be the forefront of what we do. It's actually, I'd say it's the pillar of our democracy, if I'm honest, and I think it needs to be higher up there. We need to engage more students with what we do, so we're held accountable for what we are doing. So we're looking in ways to engage more students, because obviously AMM Student Council isn't working as effectively as we thought it would at the moment. So we're looking at ways to make different things. Me and the sabbatical officers are actually working on a joint kind of action plan of what we want student union to look like in terms of democracy. So if you guys come along to the last Student Council of the year, which is in March, come along to that. That's when we'll have a presentation of what our new democratic structure will look like, and hopefully we'll engage a lot more students than the ones that just come because they're upset about certain things. Students that want to come to actually change things, and for students to actually understand what the Students' Union does. So students still don't, and I think that's shocking.
I'm still sceptical, but I'll wait until March and see what's announced.
Sorry, I'll bring you a surprise story.
Thanks.
Yeah.
In your action plan, you say you're going to try and have a more diverse counselling service at Queen Mary. How's that going?
It's going really well. So I think Ella's been really helpful in that, and she's really picked that up. So she's involved in a restructuring of advice and counselling. Obviously, restructuring is very long because you can't just fire people outright, and yeah, you have to make up space and stuff. Yeah, we don't live in a dictatorship. So yeah, she's looking into making the advice and counselling service more diverse. So when I was looking into this last year and even this year, what we found is there's not actually a pool of counsellors that are from diverse backgrounds that are POC. We're going to try to actually make a system, like an apprenticeship system, where students who either do psychology or something in Queen Mary can go into this apprenticeship scheme and try to become a counsellor that way, because we recognise that becoming a counsellor is an expensive and long process that some BME or POC students don't just, like, it just doesn't work with where the career progression is. So yeah, I think all credit to Ella, she's doing an amazing job on that.
On a completely different note again,
Yeah.
how would you respond to accusations that you're not visible enough on campus?
100%.
That you are or aren't?
That I'm not actually. I think one of the biggest regrets that I have is that my timetable doesn't allow me to go out as much. I don't think people understand the president role consists of loads and loads of meetings. That means that I can't be a figurehead outside and like go and speak to students as much as I would like to be. Because honestly, when I started this role and started last year's role, I think last year's role I got more of a chance to go out a bit more, and that's why I loved it, because I could speak to students and understand the experiences. But the president's role is really restricting in a way, because you just don't have time to go outside. If I could, I'd try to make more time, but it's just impossible. Because if I cancel a meeting, that's one aspect of the student experience lost that we need a voice in, and fundamentally I need to give the students a voice. So yeah, I'd say I agree, and if any students want to speak to me generally about things, they can always email me, and I'll try my hardest to find the time for them.
How has last year's fallout with the university over bursaries impacted the SU's relationship with them?
So I think the university understands more issues about the student voice. Obviously, we rebuilt that relationship, so we're pretty good right now. But now we're in the bursaries conversation much earlier. So we're in all the meetings about bursaries in general, so we understand what's going on. We also have a deeper connection, I'd say, with the higher management, so QMSU, which is Queen Mary Senior Executives, which consists of the principal and the vice principals. So we have a better relationship with them in general as well, because we rebuilt it, and they really understand the necessities of student voice, because obviously student voice was recaptured, this wouldn't have happened, so they understand it. So I'd say it has made it possibly stronger, and I think we have a good senior executive team in the university that really does value the student voice. So I think, yeah, the union and university are probably closer than they've ever been before.
Interesting.
Really well.
The international representative on My Land for Education recently emailed the President and Principal of Queen Mary, Colin Bailey, asking for 3 things with regards to tuition fees for international students. The 3 things were: remove the £50 instalment fee, freeze the fees, so this means that students pay the same fee throughout their course with respect to what they paid in first year, and give 5% discount rather than 1% when international fees are paid in full. The rep was referred to the finance department but did not hear back. Do you have anything more to update us with regarding international fees?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'll go, because there's 3 points, so I think I'll go within the 3 points. So the first one is the £50 installation fee. That's not just an issue for international students, it's an issue for postgrad students too. So I believe it's over £10,000 you're paying. You have to pay an installation fee of £50 every time you give part of the money in. So if you pay in 3 parts, that's £50 each time. So we've raised this actually last year, and it's been something that's been recognised by the principal himself.
And is anything being done?
Yeah, so I think how it works is the financial round happens in April. So because if you think about it, it's all the international students, all the postgrad students, that's quite a lot of money if you take the £50 like the fee out. So it's going to have to go into the next financial round. So then we're just working on that for April, but it's something that we brought up multiple times and something the university acknowledges and is looking to change. If you look at the international fees, that's passed through QMSU, which I explained is the Queen Mary Senior Executive Team. So the principal himself gave support for that, so the motion that we should actually have fees regulated we're not regulated to have it the same throughout the whole year of an international student's time here. So there's two options that they've looked at. So then they're probably going to go away from the options we have now, which is where you pay a certain fee and don't know what you're going to pay next year, which is ridiculous in my eyes, and I think it needs to change. And that was the biggest concerns of international students when they came to me. So either they're going to keep it the same for each year, or they're going to set it so that you know what you're going to pay next year. So for example, they're going to be like, you pay 10,000 and 1050, like that.
Yeah.
So they know what they're going to pay each year rather than it being an unknown, and then you have to go back home and try to figure out where you're going to get that money from. So that's set, and that's something that the university is happily looking forward to. So I think that would be something we could probably get done by, I want to say next year, but yeah, it's quite tight. But that is something that we've moved on quite highly on. For the last point on the 1%, I'm increasing that to 5%. So I think that's when you pay it all together. So when you pay all the money all together, you get a 1% discount, and I think the international rep wants that to be 5%. That's something that we haven't actually spoken to the university as much on. It's something that's still up in the air because, I mean, if you look at it, you have to take into account the number of students that are coming and how much debt that will mean. And if we're working on the first 2 points, which affects students, the vast majority of students more, because I believe that not all international students pay it outright altogether, because they don't have all the funds to pay outright altogether. So the third point only affects a minority of students. So the first two are the ones we're working on generally the most, and the last point isn't something we're really focusing on. We brought it up, but it's not something we've been dead set on. So yeah, essentially that's where we're at.
Fair enough. Last time we spoke, which was back in October, you spoke about links with local schools, so the ones down Mile End Road and Bow.
Yeah.
What's been done since then? So if you want to explain what we spoke about in October and what the plans were, and then what's happened since then.
Yeah, so I think the plans were to get more students into university and to get them apprenticeship schemes. In university, we thought about which students find it hardest to find employment. And I think one of the things that was brought up was students with disabilities, particularly with autism. So we formed this new project called Project Search, and we made, so this is St. Paul's Way, which has a lot of autistic students in this school. So we made a new scheme where we can get those students and they can come and work within the union. So we made that link, and hopefully either in the summer or next year we'll have students here that will be working for us, so it'll be good.
What upcoming campaigns and events are you looking forward to launching and announcing?
So we're actually in Asian Heritage Month this year, so we've had our mental health event last week, on Thursday. So that went really well. We also have a few events coming up, so do keep your eyes peeled about that. So that's going really well. I'd say the things I'm working on particularly are more operational rather than actual months and celebrations.
Yeah.
So it'd be things like the international fee, which I really want to get done this year rather than having it go on to next year and then possibly it doesn't fit certain people's agendas. So I really want to get that cemented. So really this year I'm just trying to get everything cemented because I'm going to be gone in a couple of months, so I want to make sure that students get something out of it and it's not just us going around in circles. So essentially that's what I'm really working on, cementing things.
Fair enough. And finally, what's been the highlight of your year so far in this role?
Speaking to you, Liam.
So sweet.
I'd say my highlight, I'd have to say the brief periods where I do get to speak to students and understand their needs, and when I do get to solve some of their problems, it's probably my highlight. I generally love the student population here. The student body here is amazing. We don't have elitism. We're not polarized in any way, and I think that's amazing. And if you go to other institutions, you really see that polarization between certain groups. And I just love mingling with our student body and understanding their needs because they're just so unique and they're just so brilliant. And I'd say that's it, just being in the midst of the student body and being in university when I probably should have left quite a while ago. But yeah, it's being with the student body, I'd say. I know that's quite a moist answer, but it's a little bit moist. But I do love the student body.
Great. Well, thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you.